As we're settling in, I just want to name you. I think some of you may have seen the email, but we have a special Eve of Hanukkah, beginning of Hanukkah event on Monday, December 23rd, 7 to 8 p.m. Special CCM event. Um, uh, it's a deep dive into the Midah of generosity. And in it's going to be Dr. Butrey and Nancy Axelrod, Sonia Voino, and myself. So if you're interested, you can go to the CCM website, contemporarymussar.org, and sign up. So again, that's Monday, December 23rd. And yes, I will try. Maybe Sonia or myself. I'm just seeing the note. Maybe Sonia or myself can put a link to that event in the chat. The only reason we might not is if it's I don't know if it's live on our website or not yet. I think it if it is, we'll put a link in so people can just go right to that and sign up. Okay, well, let's take a minute just to settle in to more fully arrive. I know it's different times in the morning depending on where each of us are. Maybe really early, maybe even still. Is it still dark on the West Coast at this time? Yeah. So there's something about getting up when it's still dark and meditating that's both really can be really hard, but also like really sweet, really sort of rewarding once we're there. I don't know what it's like for each of you this morning, but it's that season, right? These shorter days, the particularity of this feeling of the shortening days and the darkness sometimes when we leave the house in the morning and the darkness when we return. So I wanted to speak this morning about the idea of being ready. I had a teacher in Portugal who would always say, we spend too much time preparing for the wrong things or doing the wrong kind of preparation. And he would say, you in truth, one doesn't need to prepare for anything. In fact, it usually goes much better if we don't prepare. Now, I think he was making a point with that. Um, and I think what it is sort of raising the possibility that when we think of preparation, there's different ways that one can get ready or feel ready. And so I want to just kind of float the question in relationship to the Torah portion this week of Vayishlach, of what it means to be ready or what it means to prepare. Um, so in the Torah portion, it begins with Jacob getting ready to meet Esav, and who he's been really on the run from his brother that he cheated out of their father's blessing, and also was really deceitful and scheming in terms of getting the birthright. And now he's getting ready to see Esav for the first time in many years. And he's preparing. He's dividing his camp into, you know, multiple parts in case one part gets wiped out. He's dividing his family, he's dividing his goods, he's sending people ahead to propitiate, like to bring gifts to Esav. Jacob is, and it says Jacob's feeling a lot of fear and anguish as he's getting ready, as he's preparing. The rabbinic tradition is split on this. In some cases, Jacob is criticized for not having enough faith in God and for not just coming to meet Esav and and trusting that he'll be protected. But other aspects of the rabbinic tradition really praise him for having a kind of a worldly sekel. Like sometimes it is important to get ready and to prepare in that kind of way. So I would argue though what I think in some ways the way that Jacob gets ready the most is what happens after all of this preparing and all of this mental work. Then of course he wrestles with the mysterious being from until the break of dawn. And I think that's when he's really getting ready. You know, if we understand that encounter as some inner work that he's doing. Um, and I think that's the distinction that I want to draw between the ways that we normally might get ready and what could be what maybe Mussar might hold up as sort of a next level way of getting ready. I think normally if we're getting ready for something, we often fill our brain with a lot of information, right? As if we were cramming for a test. Um, and I think in some way that, and of course that's very much necessary sometimes, right? We want to come in with a certain, you know, vocabulary on our tongue, or we want to know what we're, you know, we want to be respectful of those who we're going to be, you know, whatever it is encountering, and we want to present responsibly, or we want to be present responsibly. So yes, that first way of getting ready that Jacob does is definitely in Olam Hazeh, in this world. It is one way of getting ready. But I think about um, in terms of this deeper sense of getting ready, I think, you know, that's what we're doing right now. That's the practice, the sitting practice. And if you think about it, often before I have to do something, if I cram and I try to get a lot of information in my mind, I mean, sometimes that's effective on one level, but I often find that I'm actually much more present and able if I sit beforehand rather than try to, you know, quickly upload whatever I can to my brain. I find that whatever it is that I'm getting ready for is fundamentally changed my experience of it by my sitting beforehand or by my praying beforehand. I think of this with I think an example of this maybe is how Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi used to speak about chaplaincy work. And he would say, you know, you to be a good chaplain, and we could maybe expand this and just say to be a good companion to another person is to come into their presence not knowing what to expect. And actually, there's nothing you can prepare for because it's not formulaic, and another person isn't a problem to be solved or isn't something we can neatly plug into a formula. When someone says this, what you respond like that. So he would say the way to prepare to have a chaplaincy visit is to pray before you go into the room, to say, you know, some variation of God, help, help, use me as a vessel for your presence, that I might meet the needs of this moment and this person. And then Reb Zalman would say, when you leave the pastoral visit, you say, God, I did the best I could. The rest is up to you. And I think there's a way that we really reduce the person or the people that we're getting ready to interact with, whether it's a pastoral visit or whether we're teaching or whatever it is, if we think that it's about the material, if we think that it's actually about the words that we say. rather than the quality of presence. So I think this teacher, and to go back to the very beginning, this teacher in Portugal was saying the deeper way of getting ready is to be on the spiritual path, to practice Mussar, to practice meditation, anything that cultivates a sense of availability. And also, I would say a sense of flexibility and malleability beyond our ideologies, right? About what works or what doesn't work. That's how we get ready. Um, it's a different kind of preparation. Um, I was thinking about this and wondering if there's a midah for being ready, midah for getting ready, a precept, as we talk about it with Mussar, right? And I was thinking of zihirut, which is how Mesilat Yesharim begins, or tender curiosity, Tomer Devora, or zrizut, a sense of zealousness, which might be one way of like a leaning forward kind of way of being ready, or maybe calmness, which is maybe a leaning back kind of getting ready. But then I thought every midah is the midah of getting ready. Every midah is designed to prepare us for this very moment. So if this is also preparation, this meditation, what is it that we're preparing for? And that's a great question to sit with. What is it that we're preparing for? It's another way of asking, what is this life about? What are we getting ready for? And I don't mean to be glib about it. I think one could say that this meditation right now is a way of preparing for it's preparing for life. And in fact, maybe it's not even different. Uh maybe what we're preparing for is happening one moment after the next. Norman Fisher might say every moment of this life is a preparation in some way for our dying, for death, and it's not just our literal death when our body is ready to let go, but really it's a way of saying, each moment there's an arising and a falling away. Each moment we're sort of we're dying into the moment. It's a letting go practice. So he would speak about, Norman speaks about that a lot, about spiritual practice being a preparation, a rehearsing in a way of our death, which I guess is the inverse of saying all spiritual practice is getting ready to be alive, to really live. So I think it's something we can experiment with. I feel like I'm far from figuring this out, because sometimes I'll say, I don't need to prepare like any material for, say, teaching a particular class. Like all I have to do is be present, and then it'll probably horribly backfire on me, right? Because I'll just feel like it didn't work. And other times I'll really over prepare and I'll feel like that also backfires on me because I kind of plow through without being sensitive to what's actually happening. So, like anything, right? It's in moderation. But it's a great question to ask. Like what is it that I'm preparing for? What is it that I'm being ready for? What is it that I'm awaiting or anticipating? There's the story told of the chassid who, every time he heard a car backfire in the street, would run to the window because he thought it was the shofar blast announcing the coming of the Messiah. So like that kind of readiness, like redemption could happen at any moment, or redemption is happening at every moment, and it's just waiting for us to happen. So I like that. I like that sense of that level of anticipation. um, without anxiety, also. And that's easier said than done. How can we be on the edge of our seat, as it were, in this life, but be a non-anxious presence? What does it mean to anticipate and to prepare without, you know, without having a kind of nervousness? It's really, I mean, these are big questions, I think. So as we go into our sit right now, as we go into the silence, maybe there's some sense that we're helping each other prepare. Maybe that's an added Mussar wrinkle, that like I'm here to help you prepare for something that is happening in your life. You're here to help me prepare. We're here to help each other prepare. It's maybe one way of thinking about what it is to bear the burden with another. It doesn't mean we're worrying together, but somehow it feels like a beautiful thing to think about. How can we help each other bring that do that deeper work of preparing? And then the question of what is it that we're preparing for? So as we go into the silence now, we'll sit for about, like 13 minutes or so. None of this is something that we have to necessarily sort out or think about. It's kind of a question to bring us into the silence. And we see where it points us, where it might inform us. But really, then the practice itself is just the gentle placing of awareness on our breathing, the gentle placing of awareness on the body, the mind, the gentle placing of awareness on what arises. So let's sit. Yehiu leratzon imre fi vekion libi lefanecha Adonai tzori v'goali. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Holy One. Amen. And just to name, we next week is going to be our last session before we take a 2-week break for the winter holiday, and we'll also do that session that I had said we were going to do today, the more of a time for Q&A or to ask questions about the practice. We'll do that next Wednesday as well, and we'll also have a short time to sit. I anticipate also, but we'll do that before 2024 finishes. Okay, many blessings, everyone. See you soon.